as we are working in a group and we are presenting our presentation in a group, as two of my group members have already presented about our article, what we are doing as our outcome. So our outcome is to write an article about elderly abuse in New Zealand and in India. So first of all, I am starting from my progress from past to present this presentation. Like I have discussed in my first presentation that I was a nursing tutor there from 5 years, and I was just kind of bored. It could be said that I was bored there, but one thing was also mentioned in my first presentation, that it was not giving me the practical knowledge. I was just teaching the students the same thing again and again over the five years. So I just came over here to get some more experience in another field, kind of a managerial role. So I just came over here, and in my first presentation I have mentioned my intended outcome to get a job in the health sector. That was my outcome in my first presentation, and but to this presentation it faced many changes. Like we have met Dr. Hart. So we just, during our first meeting, she told me to write an article because I was in a nursing education field. So she just suggested me to write an article upon nursing education in New Zealand. So it would be a great idea. It was a great idea, but it was really very much new for me because I never thought about writing an article. On that day, I also told her that I never thought about this one, that I would be writing an article in my future. So she just encouraged me that it would be really beneficial for me, for my career also, because ultimately as a nurse, like my other group members, my outcome, my intention was, my focus was also for the registration as a nurse. So in the writing an article, it would be really beneficial for me in the future. So that's why till today, now my outcome has been changed from so many stages. Like earlier the topic was something else, but now after meeting my peer group, as we were from the same background, being a nurse, and we have discussed it to work as a group and to write an article on the elderly abuse in terms of New Zealand and India context. So we have finalized our topic. Learning from past to present experience. What I have learned is learn to do work in a group, and what are the benefits for me was that it just made the division of work. So we were not working individually and gaining so much of workload. So it just helped in division of the work so that we can get more focused on our topic. Less workload and more focus, and collaborative approach that I have learned, that how we have to achieve the same goal but working also in a team, and more literature review. That was really a new thing, as I already said that I have never thought to write an article. So what is literature review, how to use the databases, what databases are useful for us. So that all I have learned through this process. And as earlier my group members have already mentioned, what are the reflective practices, that how we used it, and what are the steps we have to consider during this. Now the last one, the topic that is remaining, it is the using the reflective practice in future in achieving the final steps that would be discussed. First is experience from past and present presentation. That we will gather all the experience that we three are having, and we will work upon it. Like we are having the reflective that COLS model, reflective practice model, that is more useful for us. So we are working upon it. And in future we will be seeking more guidance from Dr. Hart, and more literature review has to be done. Focus on different themes related to comparison of elderly abuse in India and New Zealand. Like we are working on the different themes for gaining more data on the statistical data, incidence of the elderly abuse cases, and what are the risk factors like physical abuse, financial abuse. These are the more prevalent that till now we have come across in our articles. And the final step would be to plan to write a manuscript. So we are working over it, and we are using the reflective practice, and we would be using it in the future also to achieving all the steps that has been discussed with by Aditi. These are some of the literatures that I have mentioned with support of this evidence. Abuse against elderly in India, keeping older people safe by preventing elder abuse and neglect. Elder mismanagement in urban India, a community-based study. Elder abuse and neglect. Protecting the elderly from financial abuse. Abuse in Auckland rest home, symptoms of wider problem. Abuse of the elderly. Verbal abuse, cars, elderly in Chennai. Strategies in the prevention or reduction of elder abuse in Bangladesh and Malaysia, that we are just having a look over it, that so many cases are present. So that's why we have considered this one also. Elder abuse and barriers to help seeking in Chennai, India, a qualitative study. So these are some of the literatures that we have gone through. And what I learned from this course and during preparing this presentation, first of all, is teamwork. Not only teamwork, like it is not that we are sitting together and we are just thinking and doing all the things. In spite of it, we have learned how to settle over the topics. Like we have to discuss some minute things also. So how we have to collaboratively, and we have to understand each other, and working towards the same topic to achieve our final outcome. That would be beneficial for all the three of us. And using the reflective practice, so it was not so much familiar for me to use the reflective practice. For me, reflection was only that what I have experienced, I have to tell about it. So that was a reflection for me earlier, but now I came to know about it, that there are different models also for reflective practice, that we have to work upon it, and we have to think upon it, that which one we are following, and understand my goals. Now only I am focused toward my goal, that this one is my goal, to write an article. And yes, in the first presentation, my outcome was to get a job in the health sector, but this outcome will only help me to move forward toward that outcome only. So it would be helpful for reaching that outcome, and able to reflect upon social ethical aspect of my profession. Like after doing all this process throughout this course till now, I could reflect on my profession from social aspects also, and my ethical aspects of nursing also. So it has been done only due to this course, and focus towards achieving the intended outcome. And now I am more focused. With my group, I am just practicing and doing more trying to achieve the goal. And we are day by day we are gaining something new. And in the future, I am anticipating a great career, as if our article get published in any journal. So it would be a great beneficial step for us. Like it would be a great weightage on our CV to write an article in New Zealand. So it would be great help for me to get a job in the health sector. These are the references. Next. Any questions?
Preet, can you say more about using reflective practice through these final steps, relating that to not just, you know, talking to me or looking at your experience up until now, but to Cole's model, say for instance, since that's the model that you've chosen to use. How do you imagine that you will be using that process as you work towards finishing? And you know, this is a group question, right? How do you imagine you would use that process to get from where you are now, because you've got a clear topic now, you've even got some subtopics starting to sort of come clear, and the next step is to actually start, you know, reading and writing. So how will you use that? Yeah. Over to you.
At first, our vision was not clear when we joined this course, and our vision was only to get registration. But like as more and more we discussed with people, somebody told us, oh, you need to do a CAP course. Somebody told us, oh, you need to repeat your bachelor's because you are only a diploma holder here. So gradually, after collecting all the data, we came into a conclusion that for me, my case, I have to repeat my bachelor's because I am not a bachelor from India. So after we discussed with you about this step to write an article, we got a clear picture that along with our past experience and what we have to do in New Zealand, and along with this article, and by reflecting back on our professional practice as well as experience, we will write this article, and we will have we want that this article should publish in the New Zealand Journal, and it will add to weightage to our CV, so that we can get into the New Zealand nursing market and we get a better job here. This is our main final outcome.
So, who had the slide with Cole's model on it?
Yeah, it's active experimentation.
Yeah.
We are in the phase of active experimentation for the last phase.
So you're in the last phase?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can get that up for you already. Go back to 7. Go back to 7. Okay, so my question is to do with this cycle here, right? Okay, so how do you imagine you might need to use the whole of this, not just active experimentation, but the other parts in this process of getting from where you are now to having this manuscript finished? Can you imagine?
Well, this is a cyclic representation and it goes on as it's a cyclic way.
Yeah.
Well, till now, what's that I have said that what was our experience. We have just noted it out. We have what was our experience, and as we discussed with our facilitator, with the peers, and we narrowed our topic. And well, the next is a reflective. So we have collected our reviews of literature. Through that, we have came to know that what are the issues that are occurring, and we have distinguished the topic into India and New Zealand context. In India, we have statistical data, the incidence rate, and we have found out that the incidence rate in India as well as in New Zealand, the elderly abuse, it's in a high rate. And one more thing I want to notify, that in Maori community, that I have went to a literature, but now I don't know to access, I'm not getting it. But in Maori community, it was said that there are many, there are high incidence rate of financial abuse, psychological abuse, and one more was there, that they are, it might be due to that they are not getting health facilities, and due to the socioeconomic background. That was the thing. So this have really reflected us to form the themes and to narrow down the topic, and ultimately to get for the manuscript. It will be really very useful to get the main abstract, the main thing, that what is the exact distinguishing factor, the incidence, the risk factors that is mainly causing the elderly abuse.
So go back to the slide 7. And I'm asking this question not just for you, but also for the other article writers that we have around, okay? Because this is useful for everybody to learn from. Okay, so when when you're talking about the different themes, right, then this is reflective observation, right? It's reviewing, it's reflecting, right? Yeah. And as you go through the process of writing the article, you will need to keep that alive, right? Because every new article that you read will find you need to do that again. Review and reflect on what that article says in relation to all the other articles that you've looked at, okay? And then with each of those subtopics that you've identified, the risk factors, the financial abuse, all of those different subtopics, you'll need to come to conclusions, right? This abstract conceptualization part, yeah? So you need to communicate in your article the conclusions that you can draw about those particular sub-themes. Yeah? You guys have been working on sub-themes as well, right? You've got long lists, sub-themes, right? And that means a backwards and forwards movement between reflective observation and abstract conceptualization. Yes. Mm-hmm. And then with the planning and trying out what you've learned, this is important, but I would also suggest to you that there's a meta-reflective process that you will need to engage in when you're writing the article, okay? And this applies to everyone who's doing articles, even the ones, and hopefully they're not here today, but they might watch this recording, even the ones where we're doing a dialogue. There's a meta-reflective phase that happens, which is when you step back and go, okay, I know what the subtopics are, and I know what people are saying generally about those subtopics. So what can I reflect about all of what I've got in front of me? What conclusions can I draw? And that's also that process of comparing the Indian and New Zealand context as well. Yeah? And you might come to a conclusion, for instance, that in terms of the issue of elderly abuse, there are new definitions that are required. Now that's not a subtopic, it's not something that you found in the existing articles, it's a finding that you have come to from having engaged with all of that literature, right? And that's part of this experimentation. You then start experimenting with the stuff that you've got, yep? And then you go back into, well, is that really true out there? Would it make a difference? Yeah? Okay. Well done. Any questions? Or the group?